Hey, on the previous podcast about we don't unpack this stuff, we don't need to, and what? Well, sometimes I've been thinking, sometimes the baggage unpacks itself. And there's a way to do that too. It's only for the smaller issues in our life, but it just gets rid of them and allows you to just have all the success and confidence and everything you need. Okay? So have a listen, put the two together, and I know you'll find the life that you deserve. Well, deserve and dream of. Okay, listen after this. Hey, welcome to the Personal Development Unplugged podcast. So pleased you're here. Your time is valuable and precious. So what I would like to do is fill that time that you share with me with the most shiny golden nuggets to help improve your life, to get your goals, your wishes, your dreams to come to fruition quicker, bigger, better than you could ever imagine, using your imagination, using hypnosis, using NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, all of that, using all things of the mind. No brain hacks, but real solid processes to deconstruct what people do to become great. And then find the processes that we can install that in ourselves to support you in your dreams and get what you really want in life. Anyway, who am I? I'm Paul Clough, and just going to have conversations with you in this podcast and get you thinking, but also share those processes because we're going to have so much fun. That's it. We're going to have fun for a change because we can sit down for a spell and have more fun than we can stand, creating the world we want to live in and be the person we want to be in that world. The only limitation is your imagination. And you got bucket loads, by the way, bucket loads. Have a listen. You really must.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey, how are you doing? Longer podcast. And it's sort of completely the opposite to the previous podcast about maybe things are best unpacked, or not unpacked rather, and how I work with some people at a completely unconscious level and everything keeps away from the conscious mind. But I've been thinking about that, and I was right, but there's exceptions to that. And because of that thinking, I thought, well, that first podcast or the previous podcast was really about deeper stuff that, can get highly emotional, stuff which is really, really difficult to unpack, as it were, because we don't want to go back to those times, those emotions which were really quite intense. But I was thinking, what happens when I'm working with a client? Because it doesn't always go that way. And I thought to myself, well, actually, Paul, sometimes the baggage simply unpacks itself. And I always tell my clients on an initial consultation, it's as if we've got a jigsaw puzzle. All the pieces are laid out on the floor, but they're turned the wrong way round, so we can't see what's on the pieces. And guess what? Some bugger's thrown away the box lid, so we don't know what picture we're making. But as we go through the session and we ask questions, and questions are so important, it's as if the unconscious mind goes, here's an answer, because you're asking different questions about the issue. And you turn over a piece of the puzzle and you look at it. My client looks at it, I look at it, and we go, okay, that's what we got, because what we get is what we get. And then we carry on, we ask another question or two, and we turn over another piece of the puzzle. Does it fit just lovely? Very rarely. But then we ask another question. And then we get another piece of the puzzle. Do they all three fit? Probably not. But it's as if we understand the connection between all the three pieces. And it's a little bit like a light bulb going off, the aha moment, and going, oh, get it. That's the issue. the one thing that if I get rid of this bit, everything will disappear. It's not highly emotional. In fact, the aha moments are just like, is it that much? Because if you think about it, a lot of these problems we have, a lot of the issues we have generalized into everywhere. And see what happens, I believe, anyway, it's all my beliefs. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I think I'm right. Always. Something in your past happens, and you could have been a little boy, little girl. And it wasn't the most traumatic thing in the world, but it had a reaction just like that. Maybe been a little shock. Maybe been some fear. Maybe a little bit of guilt. Maybe a bit of, I don't like this feeling. And your unconscious mind goes, hey, I'm going to protect you from this. And it does what it does at that moment with the wisdom that it has and the experiences that you have back then, which is honestly quite small. So it does what it does. And it tends to pull you away to keep you safe. And it gives you emotions that make you like they're little negative emotions, a little bit of fear, a little bit of anxiety, which stops you doing that thing again. And it maybe gives you a little limiting belief that, not good enough. Or I'm stupid. Or I don't belong here. Or I don't like myself because of it. Or so, anything like that. Very little subtle beliefs. And it stops you doing the things. And it supposedly keep you safe. But unfortunately, situations keep happening. You get bigger. Experiences happen. And your unconscious mind, instead of using all those experiences and more knowledge, more wisdom, it says, actually, I know how to do this because I've done it for a long time. And I keep doing the same thing more and more and more intensely. Which when you get to it, then something else happens and your unconscious mind goes, you know what, that is not the same as what I've been doing, but it's similar. So I think I'll use the same thing again. And in fact, I'll give a nice general limiting belief of, now, instead of I'm stupid, it's I'm not good enough. Because I'm not good enough will cover everything. And that real subtle first core belief, limiting belief, tends to get lost in the mire, into the past. But actually, it's the one thing that when you get rid of that general belief of I'm not good enough will disappear. And you see, that's what happens. We're working with a generalized emotion now. Could be unconfidence, could be the low self-esteem, could be anxiety, could be fear, could be guilt, could be anything you like. But it's just generalized, and you tend to find it's in more areas of your life than just the one where it started from. Because, your unconscious mind just says, it started small in one context, but it's something similar. And it has a wonderful, great intention, doesn't it? Wants to keep you safe. Your unconscious mind has that wonderful intention. I want to keep you safe. And again, it's just forgetting those experiences, all the good stuff you've got. But the thing is, the issue was small. It's just spread out. It makes it feel bigger and is a bit more intense. And because of that, that's how I think the baggage unpacks itself. So it's okay to unpack baggage if you just remember it's small stuff. Because remember, big stuff, you get your therapist. You get someone to work with you. Smaller stuff, you can do stuff on your own. But remember, even on small stuff or big stuff, I'm a therapist, but I'm not your therapist. I have to say that here. But the thing is, it's just a feeling. And if you think about those feelings, and what I do with my clients is, I get them to think about different areas of their life where this feeling is consistent. It may not be the same intensity. But when you think about it, oh yeah, there's that one what they come in with, and the one that you have. And you go, oh, that's that one. It's just there. Feel it. And then you go, well, where else have you had that feeling? Not necessarily just now, but generally, when I'm at work, when I'm with my boss or with my, and I'm in a meeting. Yeah, it's not so intensible, but it's still there in the same place. What about anywhere else? Well, when I go out, when I socialize, it's not so big, but it's still there. And you tend to find it's now spread. And what we do is, then we go, well, I know there's a feeling, and I know there's probably, and I say probably, but I think there's always, but you can never generalize, but I am. With that negative feeling, that negative emotion, there's normally a limiting belief, such that things like, I'm not good enough. And the thing is, you can't generally remember the very first event. But if you go like, say is what happens. I say, well, what type of belief do you have? When you think about that feeling, what is the belief you have? And most people will come up with things like, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, shouldn't be here, those types. And I go, well, okay, go into that feeling. Don't make it any bigger. Don't want a 10 out of 10. I just want it 5 out of 10 rather, and nice. Well, I know it's there. I know the feeling's there. This is the feeling I'm working with. And I say to them, okay, what's the belief I have about myself that makes this feeling so? I'm not good enough because... Finish a sentence just like that. And they'll come up with something like, I'm not good enough because I'm stupid, or I shouldn't be here, or I don't know, I'm just not strong enough. And you go, that's it, because now we've gone one level below. Maybe we've gone all the way to the core issue. And when you think about that, and I've had people, here's a story, true story coaching. There was this client of mine who was exceptionally good at their job. They had gone through college, got great results there. They'd gone into medical school, great results there. They were then into, I think it was surgery, and they got great results there. And they were like head of their department, head of everything. Yet they were unconfident. And they thought they were not good enough. But when we came down to it, he said, well, finish this sentence. I'm not good enough because I... And they just went, because I'm stupid. And they said, oh, Paul, now it makes sense. We've turned over that other jigsaw piece, the puzzle. He said, I can remember way back when I was small, my brothers always called me stupid. And I felt just like that same feeling I got now. And it was as if the unconscious mind said, I don't like this feeling. And to make sure that I never have this feeling again and feel stupid again, I am going to do the best I can all the time or not at all. And I said to this person, are you, when you do something, do you either back away completely or do you make sure that you are pitch perfect? You are 100+%. Everything has got to be absolutely perfect. She said, absolutely, Paul. I've got to control everything. I've got to be... Oh. And I said, what would happen, though? Instead of spending all that energy being totally perfect, knowing that you can't be perfect, what would happen if you thought about times in the past when you have been just okay, and you certainly have not been stupid, you have been really good. You've been in the moment, in the flow. You've done something. It was successful. You enjoyed doing it. And you used all your experiences. And it was quite difficult, but you just did it. He said, yeah, I've got quite a few of those. And if I had that feeling, I would just do everything so much easier. And it was like the light switch came on. Or the light came on, the switch turned over. And it was as if the unconscious mind said, oh, dough, in the Simpson moment. If I use those skills, those resources, and the belief that I had back then when I was doing those type of things, it would be so much easier. The effort to do things in the flow is very little. You can go on all day. But when you're really struggling with I'm not good enough because I'm stupid or whatever, it's really bloody hard. It takes a lot of effort. It's tiring. So here's what I like people to do. This is what I do on my coaching course. We've got this belief, say, I'm stupid. We've gone down that layer to like a core issue belief. I'm stupid. So it's not I'm good enough. It's I'm stupid, and therefore it's generated or generalized into I'm not good enough. But we work on I'm stupid. And we say, okay, I want you to write out. And it is only 2 lines probably. And you do have to write it out because I want you to think of 3, 4, 5 times in your life, any time in your life, when you've certainly not been stupid, you've done something which has been successful and you've enjoyed it and you felt really safe and comfortable. And if you enjoyed it, you probably really have felt safe and comfortable. And it was a great success. And I want you to think about it. And as you think about it and you remember it, then you can write it out. And because you're writing out by hand, none of this typing on a typewriter. I want you to write it out by hand. Only 2 lines to describe it. I was doing this, and this is how it felt, and this is the success I had. Because when you write it out, you have to describe the pictures in your mind. And when you describe the pictures in your mind, you're doing it with your inner voice. And you have to really look and make sure the words fit the words that you write. And when you look at the words you write, you check them in your head with your inner voice and check it with that picture. You are doing the checking and getting your unconscious mind to remember that time 3, 4, 5 times in the same different modalities, as it were. You even get the muscle memory of writing those words out. And you do that 3 or 4 times, and you go to yourself, well, I say to my client, look at each one individually, remember it again, and say, well, what belief did I have about myself? And they probably, a lot of the times, they get it, but sometimes they go, well, I just don't know. I just did it. So I said, okay, use that little imagination. Think, what belief must I have had to enable me to do that? And it's probably things like, I've got this, I'm okay, this is going to be great, I can succeed at this. Subtle, simple, powerful beliefs. And you write them down too. And when you've done that, you basically get that feeling again, 5 out of 10. Remember that belief, I'm stupid. And you say to your unconscious mind, this really isn't comfortable. And it's not getting the real result. It's getting a sort of result, but the result is not comfortable. Yet, and you look at those 4 to 5 examples, this is a better way. And you were there doing it with me. I want you, my unconscious mind, to choose. I want you to choose the best one of the 2, or an even better way. And then let it go and notice what happens. Because then, you see, when you what you can also do is when you think of those 4 or 5 times when you have been in the flow, when you've been successful, you've been safe, and as you think of what you're going to do today, and there's one of those times where in the past you didn't feel good enough, you had that feeling, you go, what would happen if I had this lovely feeling, this really good feeling, and that belief, I know I've got it, I've got this. What would happen then? Again, it's a no-brainer. Your unconscious mind can go, well, actually, you're safer doing this. We're safer. I can really make this happen. And that means somehow you've unpacked the baggage because it's unpacked itself. There's been no trauma. There's been well, you feel that negative belief, but it's only a 5 out of 10. You've gone to the cause. And even if you can't remember where it's come from, you've got that limiting belief, which is at the root cause of all of this. Because you can imagine if that belief was to disappear and this feeling was to disappear, what would life be like? It would be, again, a no-brainer. It would be brilliant. It'd have to be better, wouldn't it? And when you ask your unconscious mind to choose the best or a better way, and that's it. Now, we could do this together, just very quickly. If you do have a negative emotion, but make sure, for goodness sake, as I said, I'm a therapist, but I'm not yours. I don't want you to choose something over a 5 out of 10, 10 being the worst, 0 being gone. So 4 or 5, so you just know it's there. And as you go into that feeling, just ask yourself, what belief do I have about myself that makes this feeling so? Do it now. Just go into that feeling. Obviously, if you have nothing else to do, take a moment or two and notice what comes up. Finish off the sentence. What belief do I have about myself that makes this feeling so? I'm or I'm not. And don't think about it. Give the answer. And if it comes out, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, or something similar, then you go, I'm not good enough because I'm... And without editing, what comes next? And as long as it begins with I am, I'm not, it's an identity belief, a belief about your identity. You know you've got it. Then you do your opposites. Opposite situations where you've had the complete success, you've done the work, and you had a wonderful belief. I did that a bit quickly, didn't I? So maybe I'll record a little bit for this, but just think very quietly, if you were to go into that feeling, put all your attention into that feeling and say to yourself, what belief do I have about myself that makes this feeling so? I'm or I'm not. And if it is, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, just say to yourself, I'm not good enough because I'm not worthy because I'm, and something will come up. Generally, something will come up. And then you do those complete opposites. You're just giving yourself the opposites of that feeling when you haven't been that belief. And when you find 4 or 5, you suddenly realize there's probably a lot more too. And so does your unconscious mind. And that's it, really. And you can do this for any small, niggling, limiting, or negative emotion. So make sure it's not the big stuff. Big stuff gets sorted out by a professional. But these things do unpack themselves. So it's not, I think what I'm trying to say is you don't necessarily have to go and unpack it. You just let the unconscious mind unpack it for you. And it's all generally around that negative emotion and that limiting belief. And when you do that, it makes so much difference. And what I generally do after that with my client, because I know that belief, I've done those. They're called counterexamples, by the way. You found those counterexamples when you've been totally good enough, totally not stupid, or whatever that final limiting belief was. And then if you wanted to, you could just go through into my free hypnosis tracks, sign up for them. If you're not a member of that already, you ought to be, because there's 50 plus, I think there's 55 free hypnosis and NLP processes there. paulcloughonline.com/podcast. You go there and you go, right, now I know where I want to go. Now I know how I feel. Then you go down that list and see which one of those hypnosis tracks really just jumps out at you, says, that's the one. And then you set your intention before you press play. Some people just press play hoping it's going to be done to them. This is do with. And you say to yourself, my intention is to get rid of this emotion, get rid of this belief, and find good stuff, better ways. Then press play. You've set your intention. You've told your unconscious mind how you want to be different now. And you do it. And then you test the hell out of the work. When I say test the hell, I'm not expecting you to deliberately put yourself in those situations. Let them happen naturally and notice how you act and react differently now, how you act better. You review it at the end of the day and you go, do you know what? That was a really good day. In the past, I used to be nervous. I used to back away, but now I did this instead and that was good. And when you say that and you have that act, that act of gratitude, because of it, you feel grateful. Your unconscious mind knows there's more to be done in a better way. I can double it. I can get it better. In fact, I can generalize now using that old process of generalizing the little thing into something big, which has got like, I'm not good enough, low unconfidence, low self-esteem. I can now take these really good feelings that are good in this one context and generalize them into other contexts. I'll say that again, other contexts, which means, I'm now dealing with this, but I'm also want to go out socializing rather. I'm feeling good about that. When I go to work and I have that meeting, I feel good about that too. In fact, I tend to just have the right resources inside me. I just succeed. And remember, hopefully this is going to be in December, that in December I've decided to put my Supreme Inner Confidence program for less than $10, under that. Still going to be a money-back guarantee, so even if you don't, it's a no-brainer again, isn't it? Just help you through. And that's my Christmas present to everyone. And I just hope you take that up and get what you need. So sometimes we don't unpack. Sometimes we unpack just without knowing it really. And you just do this little bit of work. And even if you do the work and it changes and you don't know why, who cares? I never do. I just want to see the results in my clients. I want them to be so much better than when they first walk through my door. They walk out that door so much better and have more fun than they can stand. And that's what I want from you, or for you. Have more fun than you can stand. Please share this and the last podcast with anybody you think is having a little bit of trouble. Even if it's just a little bit of unconfidence, a little bit of low self-esteem, a little bit of anxiety. This type of thing will really help, I think. I'm sure. If in doubt, see a therapist. But this will never do any harm. I don't believe it will do any harm at all. Always helping. So do please share this and the last episode. Well, every episode. Share the Personal Development Unplugged podcast, if you would. Let's make everyone's life a little easier, a little better, and have more fun than you and they can stand. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for your time. I'm just so grateful that we get to do this together. So, have fun, more fun than you can stand, and go fly, my friend. Bye-bye.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.